Welcome back, everyone. This is Sled ADK, and I'm your host, Mark Mayer. It's Sno Deo. How can we not be excited about Sno Deo? It's a kickoff event for the snowmobiling season here in the Adirondacks. I know we have little snow to talk about, but the event's still going to go on, so we might as well have fun. On today's show, I will have Judy Lonergan here, our president of the Central Adirondack Association, the organization responsible for the event, and she'll talk a little bit about that. Also, I'll have some club updates and some conditions. So without further ado, let's roll on into my chat with Judy. If you're wondering why there's no video for the interview, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's because I'm still working on the logistics of getting everybody on screen. So the next portion is going to be audio only for your listening pleasure. But hopefully in the upcoming weeks, I'll have that all worked out and I'll bring some of our guests on camera. Hi, Judy. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
As president of the CAA, you're in charge of Sno Deo.
I'm in charge of Sno Deo. The Central Adirondack Association has hosted Sno Deo. Now, there's conflicting stories here, whether it's 38 years or 47 years, but for a long time. I'm not the chair of the event, but I am the president of the association, so I'm hands-on with it. The chair of the event is Dale Haru this year for probably 6 years now running or more.
Fantastic. Hey, so before we get into all of the fun things about Sno Deo, let's talk about you for a little bit. You're an avid snowmobiler, you and your family. Of course, I know you from seeing you at the inn over the years, but how long have you guys been riding up here in the Old Forge area?
We have been riding in the Old Forge area for about 31 years.
And then you moved here, didn't you?
Yes, I did. We bought our first home in Old Forge. Let's see, it'll be 11 years in March.
Oh, time flies, doesn't it?
It does. It seems like yesterday, but it has gone by and it's been a wonderful experience at the bar.
Yeah, not only did you buy a house, you started a business up here too.
I did. Wagging in the ADK was founded in 2016, and it was a venture I took on, and I'm so glad that I did. I think it's a happy place for all that visit and a happy place for pets. And we really just I love it. I am so happy when I'm in that store. There's no place I'd rather be.
So, and all of this stemmed from riding up here also throughout all the years.
Absolutely. So when we were younger, having been from the Syracuse area, our venture was down 81 to the Tug Hill and grew up riding on the Tug Hill and probably learned how to stay safe up there in a way. And then, to say it lightly, and then we started venturing over to Old Forge when my husband and I were dating. We'd actually stay at the inn. So the Big Moose Inn was our spot. We were up at the top of the stairs, the room to the right, always. And then we got married in February of 96. And from there, it became an annual trip every February. For 1 week, we stayed at the inn, and that lasted for probably 6 years. And then we started renting a place because then we had children and needed more space and friends riding and rented homes. And then that's when we decided to buy a home.
So you ran the whole gamut. You went from riding as kids with family to riding with significant others to riding coming up for the week, then getting a seasonal, and then eventually moving here.
Correct.
Nice.
And it's different when you're riding a snowmobile and you're out with just your friends and you're a little younger to when you have your kids out there with you. I can tell you that. But it is fun all the way around, and it is definitely a highlight of our winter.
Awesome. So being having your own business and joining the Central Adirondack Association, which is basically our small business administration here, you became president last year, correct?
Correct. I did. I joined the CAA in 2017. So about a year after I opened my store, I was learning that the Central Adirondack Association was the ones that could help stimulate your business on the off seasons because they bring all the events to the Old Forge area. So I thought it was a great organization to join. I've met many friends through there, and I believe in the organization. So that's why I took on the role and ran for president last year.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're happy to see a fellow sledder in the top echelons of the events that are being planned and done here in the Old Forge area. That being said, let's talk Sno Deo a little bit. So you said there's a little bit of a controversy of whether this is actually the 47th year or it's 32nd. It doesn't matter. It's been going on for decades.
It
Um,
has.
and through the years, it's been hit or miss, especially the last couple of years. There's been a lot of turmoil, with COVID and all the restrictions and everything. But I understand we're back in full force with a sold out pavilion. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have a full pavilion this year and we're so excited for it. It's been a work in progress, a lot of work. The committee that does this, Mike Ross, Dale Haru, Gary Staub, Lori Burkowskis, amazing behind the scenes in the thick of it. Getting vendors, getting the dealers up here, and then Don's Polaris closed this past year. So we were in the lookout for a Polaris dealer, and we have Filler Power Motorsports coming out this year to take on the Polaris dealership for us in the pavilion. So that's someone new that we're added to the list. And we're so excited about that. We have a few other new vendors coming in and some of the old ones that have always been there, which we need, love, and we want more.
That's
We're going
awesome.
forward. Yeah.
Back in full swing. Let's talk a little bit about the events that you have planned for the for Sno Deo weekend. I understand there's nothing on Friday. There's the doors are open from 1 to 5. Is that correct?
That is correct. The pavilion is getting set up later on this afternoon. They started actually on Monday with marking the floors and getting things in line and cleaned up for it. Vendors can start coming in this afternoon. Tomorrow will be all hands on deck getting it all ready, and we'll be ready for the doors to open on Friday. Saturday, we have some really cool things. Of course, for the kids, we have Santa and Mrs. Claus will be making an appearance throughout the day and doing some photo opportunities for them. And probably one of my favorite events at Sno Deo is the youth races. If you have never seen a child get on a little snowmobile and get to have their first or maybe their second or third little race experience, it's unbelievable. The magic in their eyes, the happiness, that's how it starts. That's the love, that's the passion. That's where it all comes from. So that is a must see on Saturday if you're in the area.
And that's going to be registration starts at 10 and it's free to register. And then the races are at 12. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. So if you've never seen the little ones in little, some of them are little race, you have to put on your hats and gloves and get out there and watch them because, like I said, there's nothing like seeing the magic in a kid's eyes when they get to do that.
Yeah. I mean, we know this firsthand. You and I
Yeah,
both
we do.
have children and we put them on the sleds and their first ride in that kitty cat or that 120, it's definitely magical. I know all
Oh,
three of
it's
my girls.
magical.
I know all three of my girls got hooked, and yeah, here we are with a sled each. Gets
Oh,
expensive after a while.
it is expensive. And then, like most snowmobilers, my husband always says you have to have a spare just in case. Then you end up with a little bit more. But my kids have been riding. They still ride as both of my children, adult children now, but still still started when they were babies right with us. So they'd fall asleep. You put them in front of you and they'd fall asleep on the handlebars halfway through the trip. You wonder how they were going to make it back, right?
Listen, I remember Chloe when she was Jilly's age, and now she's coaching her.
Oh, she is. It's amazing. Yeah, my daughter's the hometown girl now.
Sled.
Married a local boy teaching at the school and right there with it. So I love it.
Awesome. Yes, the races will be on Saturday, and regardless of weather conditions, it's going to go on.
Correct. Yes, always does. Yes.
Always says. Just wanted to make sure. And then
Yep.
we have a vintage show this year again, right?
We do. So this is, I believe, I'm trying to think back. We had the vintage show come last year, then we had COVID. I think this is the second year that they're coming in. And I think that this offers a grand perspective on snowmobile. The lists that have ridden for a while, and then there's people who've ridden way longer than I, or what is a shock or a suspension system, right? The way that they rode was just totally different than how we ride today. We're in the Cadillacs. It's pretty cool to see that and just see how progression, engineering, the whole thing comes through. So again, if you're into the sport and you love it from the beginning to the end, come on down. You got to see these vintage sleds. They're beautiful.
Yeah, the vintage shows are always great. We did a couple here on Big Moose Lake for a while, and I do believe we're going to Glenmore's thinking about doing it again this year, but we'll see. I'll have to talk to Pat about that.
It's always a fantastic spot up there for it too. I love
Isn't it? Yeah, we've always had a great time doing it.
The lake when it is, it's just a great place to have it.
So a
Right.
big question that's been asked a lot, and people are wondering what happened. What happened to the shootout this
So the shootout, it has a history. In the history, if you go back, it was like the beginning of snowmobile season, and the dealers would get, and Tom Smith would be a great one to even go back on this with. But the purpose was is that the sleds would come in, and a shootout was meant to tune the sleds at the spot coming out of the crate, see how fast you could get them to go, and you'd be riding and doing showcasing the
Right.
snowmobiles, so people could get on them and ride them. So a shootout of today is a little bit different, and not that they don't happen across the country, because they do, but it's more of a race. And with a race, you need a lot more ground. You need, especially at the speed that our snowmobiles go. So you need a long shot. You need to make sure everybody stays safe. And if you're going to run them side by side, you definitely have to have a wide track. If you're going to run them just under a gun to check time, that's a whole nother thing. So we took this all into consideration, and we've been talking about this for 4 years. How do we get a shootout back? This year, Dale Haru and Mike Ross went down to Woodgate to talk to folks down there. There was a piece of land that would work, but it would take an unbelievable amount of excavation and money to get the land even up. And then we would have to maintain it. Not that we're opposed to that. It's just it could never happen this year. And then everything grows through. And then what if the people decide to sell the land? You know what I mean? It's an investment. And where do you come from with a nonprofit organization trying to do this? So we went away from that. Plus, it would move it down the road, which isn't a bad thing because that could be come up on different days. Then Dale Haru even looked at some of his own property to try to do it. Again, it wasn't long enough. We couldn't do it. We went to the airport in Old Forge, and they were really amazing. They were listening to us. They were for it. They wanted to support it. But then there became some concerns. The airport runway is long enough, but what if you can't stop? There's a drop off. And then the main thing was, what if a stud came out of the track of a snowmobile, ended up on the runway, and a plane came in and the tire popped? Now you're putting other people at danger. The liability, it's privately owned land. The town doesn't own it. The Central Adirondack Association doesn't own it. So that kind of got kiboshed. So we're looking for land. We would love to do it. We just don't have the land. The Central Adirondack Association does not own land. The town has some land, but nothing that we have looked at or been through is long enough.
The bottom
So
line, if you can
we,
find enough space
if
for it.
someone, we would do it. We would host it tomorrow if we had the space for it.
Oh, for all your listeners out there, anybody owns property up here and wants to set it up for a track, let us know.
Yeah, let us know because we're not kiboshing it. We want to do it, but we need to A, keep everybody safe. B, it has to be the right conditions, the right place. Yeah, if someone has land and they want to come forward, please contact us.
Absolutely. With that said, what would you like to see here in the future on Sno Deo?
Sno Deo, what I would love to see improved is if we can get it. For me, I love to go to any snow expo. I love clothing and helmets and stuff. Maybe it's the girl in me, maybe it's not. I don't know, but I love that stuff. And some more vendors that offer that, we would love to get in. We also need more hands on deck, and I know it's hard. Everybody that lives in Old Forge, Inlet, Big Moose, most of us own our own business. We have families. Everybody's busy, but man, we could use some volunteers because it gets hard on the few people that keep doing these events year after year after year. And we need more help. So if anybody out there lends a hand or wants to come to a meeting or join the Central Adirondack Association, we would love the help. We are a volunteer association, and most people don't understand that.
And that seems to be the consensus nowadays, is that the volunteering is just so hard to get now.
Oh, across the country.
All organizations that do these kind of things are in so much need for that kind of help, especially snowmobile clubs out there. We've been talking about that as well. I'll have a podcast on that here in the future when I get some of the snowmobile clubs on to talk about what their needs are. But yeah, I understand. And it's great to hear that Sno Deo is back in full force, that you guys are sold out. You have vendors coming in. The events are on. What other CAA events would you like to highlight here for the winter season? Anything else coming up?
We'll have Winter Carnival in February. And that usually is a highlight of the high school, the students, the skiing, of the community. It's a wonderful event with fireworks and a show. The problem that we're having with that right now is many people know at McCully Mountain, we're in desperate need of some repairs on our deck outside. We're meeting on this. Winter Carnival is going to happen. We just don't know if it'll happen at the mountain or in town. So more to come on that. But
Awesome.
then in March, we have Snowfest. And a lot of people kept asking what happened to the Ravex jumpers, where the Ravex jumpers. We need to see the jumpers. We want the show back. We have them. They're coming. They're coming in March. So Snowfest is going to be top notch, another filled pavilion. We have all major manufacturers dialed in and coming. There's going to be rides out there. I know for sure that Articat is going to be doing demo rides. Skidoo is thinking about doing demo rides, but we're making it happen again. So just be kind to us. Again, we're a volunteer organization and we do these big events and we really want to make everybody happy. That's our goal.
That is awesome news. Judy, thank you so much for being part of the
Thank you.
podcast this week. Hopefully, we can get you back on before some of the other events and talk about them a little.
I would love it. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thanks for
I'll
having
see
me.
you this weekend at Sno Deo.
I'll be there.
And there you have it. Sno Deo is a go. And now for the less exciting information. All the trails, unfortunately, will be closed for Sno Deo weekend and until further notice due to the less than marginal conditions out there. It's mostly for everyone's safety, and that includes our surrounding snowmobile clubs. Branningham Snowmads, the Trackside Blazers, Inlet Barnstormers have all reported that currently they are not open for traffic. And that's unfortunate. But we're hoping that next week brings some more snow. Forecast isn't really showing much, but that can always change. I had a great discussion this afternoon with Steve from the Branningham Snowmads. They are working in collaboration with the Old Forge Trail maintenance crew to vastly improve the connection between us and Branningham. We will be going back to the regular turnoff for Branningham, intersection 14 off of Trail 1. We no longer have to deal with that horrible connection that we've had over the last 2 years due to the logging that was occurring in that section off of Stillwater Road. They have agreed, that is Branningham Snowmads have agreed to extend their grooming operations almost all the way to Trail 1, which is great news. We will now have both our trail system, our trail maintenance, and Branningham's club out grooming that area. It should definitely improve the conditions for us to get out that way. That being said, there's not much more to update regarding riding for this coming week. I hope that we'll get some snow and I'll be able to give some actual trail reports out there soon. I currently don't have a guest scheduled for next week's podcast. I have a couple of feelers out there, and as soon as I do have our next guest, I will post that on the Facebook group to let you guys know what to look forward to. This is Mark Mayer, and thanks for tuning in. Signing off. Have a great day.